Will you now distance yourself from them completely? Or how are you viewing what is happening here?
Well, I mean, it's really not too surprising because this is what happens to a lot of different influencers. Is there's a lot of political attacks. They're innocent until proven guilty.
The people defending Andrew Tate are making me lose brain cells. Hey guys, welcome back to the show, your home for independent and nonpartisan political analysis and commentary on news, media, internet insanity, and more. This story kind of has all of the above because we're going to react to some of the crazy people defending Andrew Tate after he faces very serious charges of various sexual abuse-related crimes in the UK and is facing extradition, being sent to the UK to face trial for those charges, to face a prosecution, that is, and was arrested in Miami. Well, a interesting array of folks are coming out to defend him, starting with streamers like Clavicular, who I guess you wouldn't expect to be the most well-versed on these matters, so that's unsurprising, but even members of Congress are defending him in ways that make no sense at all. Anyway, first, we're going to watch a clip from Clavicular on with Piers Morgan, where he makes an extremely incoherent and bizarre defense of Andrew Tate. Let's watch.
I don't know anything about the case personally, but, obviously they're innocent until proven guilty. So we'll see what happens.
How do you feel about
I'll just pause on that. So at the beginning, when he was first asked about it, he admits he doesn't know anything about the case, and they're innocent until proven guilty, so we'll see what happens. If that was all he said about it, fair enough, right? That's fair. Say, I can't really comment. I don't know much about it, and innocent until proven guilty, and we'll see what happens. Totally fair. He should have stopped there, but he kept digging and ended up saying some truly crazy stuff. Let's listen.
about this sort of situation? They're facing 58 charges now, incredibly serious charges across a wide range of different things, from rape and abuse to child pornography and so on. Will you now distance yourself from them completely? Or how are you viewing what is happening here?
Well, I mean, it's really not too surprising because this is what happens to a lot of different influencers. Is there's a lot of political attacks with a lot of these strung up charges. So it's happened to me in the past. So political persecution through legal means is nothing new.
Sorry, but he just moments ago admitted that he doesn't know anything about these cases. And now he's suggesting they're strung up charges and they are political attacks. Well, how would you know that if you don't know anything about it? And honestly, there's ample evidence supporting some of these claims. There's texts and voice recordings of him admitting to harming some of the women who are accusing him criminally. So it's not like a political attack makes it sound like it's some witch hunt, baselessly ginning up charges or what have you. It's not that. Obviously, there is a political layer to it because Andrew Tate is such a controversial figure, but the criminal charges themselves are substantiated and serious. And to just dismiss them as political attacks is wrong even if you are familiar with them. But to do that when you just moments ago admitted you don't know anything about the cases or the accusations is just totally ill-informed and reckless and ridiculous. What? Ay, Dios mío. And Piers does call him out on this. Shout out to you, Piers.
So, it's just another case of that.
I mean, how do you know that it's that? How do you know for sure that these are not charges with merit? 7 different women. They're making a number of very serious allegations. How can you be so confident this is just a trumped up, as you put it,
good question,
political persecution? Well,
I could say this. Once again, they're innocent until proven guilty. Well, I mean, it's a little bit ridiculous.
And so I cut to more here because I made this clip because it was a lengthy interview and he's all over the place. So here's what makes no sense. He's saying they are innocent until proven guilty. I agree. They are entitled to due process of law. But that's the point of extraditing them to the UK. So they can face the charges. They can face the attempt to prove them guilty or not. If they go there and they fight them in court and win, then they've proven their innocence, right? But the point is that they should be extradited because the UK can't prosecute someone who's in another country. That's why extradition exists as a concept. Cooperating governments, if somebody's in your country but faces serious criminal charges in a partner country, you send them to face those charges. Otherwise, you could just get away with crimes by fleeing and getting to another country and never face accountability. And so he's saying they're innocent until proven guilty. Yet, as you're about to hear, he is opposing the very process by which they could be proven guilty. So that makes no sense then. Then you're just saying, well, they just get to be presumed innocent forever. Haha. No, absolutely not, young man. And you shouldn't speak about these things if you know nothing about them. I understand Piers goads you to talk about them. You have associated with these people in the past, so that's kind of your own fault. But you could have just left it at your first statement. They're innocent until proven guilty, and we'll see what happens. And said nothing more. And if he keeps asking about it, just say, that's all I have to say about it. But you didn't do that. You went into this stupid territory and revealed your own ignorance, because I don't think he had heard the word extradition until yesterday, based on what he says next. Let's watch.
A little bit ridiculous, the entire thing about the extradition. I think it's a bit of an embarrassment to the United States to allow the UK to come in and do an arrest on United States soil in a very public way.
Well, they didn't do that.
Well, to be fair, the Americans did the arrest, and we have an extradition treaty between the US and UK. I mean, most of the crimes were allegedly committed in the UK. Why shouldn't they? Why shouldn't they do this?
Well, it's just a bit of an embarrassment.
But is that because essentially you don't believe any of the allegations?
Well, no, I believe that, the United States shouldn't, be extraditing to the United Kingdom.
What the Why not? The embarrassment to the United States would be allowing dangerous criminals to get away with it because we don't cooperate with our allied governments to prosecute them when there are mountains of accusations and evidence against them. Is he high? Seriously, and why does anyone take this kid seriously about anything? He's got all these followers and this massive audience, and I'm like, good grief. Just close your mouth if you don't know what you're talking about. He's like, well, I'm just against extradition. It's embarrassing. No, it isn't, and it's an extremely common practice in common law in modern society. We extradite people all the time between the US and the UK. Like when we have criminals who are in the UK, we request extradition, and they often grant it. Now, there are some scenarios in which a country may refuse extradition requests, but the concept itself is legitimate and important. And you don't want criminals just to be able to get away with stuff by getting to another country before they can be prosecuted. Does he hear any? I don't know. Absolutely insane. But what I will say is, at least this is just from some 20-year-old mushy-brained from hitting himself with a hammer streamer, right? Thankfully, adults and political people who know things would never say such ludicrous stuff. Gotcha. Because a Republican member of Congress, yes, a sitting member of the House of Representatives, put out one of the most absurd and asinine defenses of the Tates that I've seen. And it's just embarrassing and really bizarre stuff. Let's look at his tweet. This is Abe Hamadeh, who is a congressman for Arizona's 8th Congressional District, describes himself as a happy warrior. And I won't get into it, but I've also heard some tea about him. But anyway, the substance of his posts, he wrote on X, as a former prosecutor, I understand the importance of protecting Americans in times of crisis. I'll just pause on this. If you are a former criminal prosecutor, it is very strange that you would not support the prosecution of an alleged sex criminal who's also alleged to now have committed crimes involving children. Yeah, what? You'd think a former prosecutor would be all about a person being extradited to be held accountable for that. Anyway, back to his statement. The U.S. Constitution is the greatest protection in the world for its citizens. The Tate brothers are American citizens, and so they deserve full American constitutional protections, which means innocent until proven guilty. What? This doesn't make sense. They're also British citizens, and they're facing crimes in Britain where they've been charged and where they will be proven guilty in a court of law or not, right? It's like, what are you talking about? Just because you're a dual citizen, you get to get away with stuff. They can't charge him in an American. He says this. He says, no American court has charged them with a crime despite years of false alarms and innuendos. They've been deplatformed, debanked, arrested, and still no conviction, something President Trump has endured for years. Okay, that's irrelevant. Comparing him to Trump, totally irrelevant. They're debanking, deplatforming, also totally different subject. American courts, these men have spent very little of their lives in America, at least over the last, I don't know, decade or so, when they've been these big alpha male people. So the crimes they're accused of committing aren't in America. So no American court could indict them for a crime that happened in Britain. This dude's post doesn't even make sense. And he's supposed to be a former prosecutor, and he's a sitting member of Congress, picking the hill to die on, opposing the extradition of people who objectively are just horrible humans. Andrew and Tristan Tate, the things they say, they're so viciously anti-Semitic and hateful and terrible towards women. They have such extremist and ill-informed takes and opinions. Their contribution to the discourse is just to promote the most kind of shallow materialism and most toxic of masculinities, to not even get into the criminal aspect of it. And then they face so many criminal allegations, much of which are heavily corroborated or in line with their public admissions of things they've admitted on camera to do. That's what you have to understand about the Tates. They spent years on podcasts and streams and blogs and vlogs yapping about the criminal seeming they did and describing in detail how they did it. And so obviously they're still innocent till proven guilty, but they sure as look guilty. What? And so, of all the people to stick your neck out for and try to fight them facing the due process you're saying they deserve, it's just especially weird. Anyway, he says there should be no extradition of American citizens when the charges are unclear and political. What? The charges are extremely clear and they're not political. What are you talking about? You just assert that. They laid out all the charges, babe. You can go look at them. And there's nothing political. Honestly, the Tates have really fallen off in political and social media relevancy. So if they were going to do half-baked political charges, it would have been years ago. They took their time. They got their ducks in a row with this. Anyway, he says, the U.S. government should either charge them with a crime or protect them from reckless court proceedings in the UK and Romania. Political lawfare is dangerous. The rule of law still matters, and it is our responsibility to uphold the integrity of the justice system. This is so incoherent because you're saying the rule of law matters, but you are opposing accused rapists being extradited in accordance with international extradition treaties to face the rule of law in a prosecution. What? Why? This makes no sense. This is totally incoherent. And of course, it ignores that these are British citizens as well, accused of crimes in Britain. So obviously, it's different than the Americans extraditing a U.S. citizen only to Britain for some trumped up charge that's not like it's not a valid comparison. It makes no sense. And it's hilarious because the replies to this congressman's tweet are all just right-leaning people crapping on him. So Murdered by Crayons replied, their charges are clear. They are also UK citizens. There's zero evidence of any of this being political. Law enforcement identified over 50 alleged victims in 2 countries. There are allegedly minors involved. Sounds like you fell for their lawyer's misinformation. Another person said, WTF, this is not political at all. Why would you support the Tate brothers? Joel Griffith, who is a conservative, wrote, Abraham Hamadeh has turned into quite the embarrassment to the people of Arizona's 8th congressional district. Trying to protect these criminals from extradition is inexcusable. The charges against the Tate brothers are neither unclear nor political, despite Abe's claims. Shannon Joy replied, total bullshit. They're dual citizens, Britain and U.S. Send the disgusting predators over ASAP. It is strange to have a representative of the party that's supposed to be like pro-family and, you know, seemingly against the sheer degeneracy that and yes, me, the homosexual, is calling the Tate brothers degenerate, because they absolutely are, standing up for the degenerates and trying to help them avoid accountability for harming women, allegedly, in very serious and grave ways, including some crimes related to children now. And you're going to stand up and say, actually, no, we got to stop this. Because the rule of law, we've got to stop the legal process from attempting to hold people accountable. This is a disgrace, honestly. And this guy faces other scandals at the moment that we won't get into. But this is the take so wild that obviously we're not in this world, so he'll be fine. But in a normal world, he would be forced to fully recant this, or he would face like censure by his party. Like they would have a resolution condemning him for this and strip him of committees or something. Because if you die on the hill of defending rampantly degenerate, credibly accused, with lots of evidence, predators, alleged, and then want to stop accountability for them, that's like totally disgraceful. I don't know. That should not be an acceptable thing to do in a mainstream political party. Now, of course, we don't really have standards in any meaningful sense in politics anymore, but in a just world, this would be viewed as beyond the pale. But we're not in that world, unfortunately, though it appears that the Tates may soon face justice. And that, for me, is worth cheering. I don't know, guys. You will have to let me know what you think of all this, from Clavicular to this congressman, the people twisting themselves up into pretzels to defend the indefensible. I personally find it to be contemptible, but not so surprising. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you aren't yet, and do hit the like button to reward me suffering through this stupidity in this video in particular. And do consider becoming a channel member if you haven't yet to support me. I do independent commentary. I call it the far left and the far right, and that's not the best business model. So I do need support from viewers like you. Hit the join button or click the link in the pinned comment to support me, guys, and become a member. And with that, we'll leave it there for now and be back with more real soon.